So I hope everyone must have installed the Eclipse IDE, and you must have tried running the first Java program in Eclipse. Um, any doubts for the last 2 3 lectures? Whatever we have discussed, if you have any doubts in those lectures, please let me know. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Yeah. Uh, try to use your microphone a little because I'm trying to test with this headphone, Bluetooth headphone. So just wanted to make sure that everyone is able to hear me as well as their voice is coming to me properly with good, uh, sound quality. So let's begin for the today's class. Let me start the Eclipse. Yeah, it will take some time. Eclipse installation will take some time depending upon your internet connectivity. Uh, Try to do it as soon as possible and run your first program. Everything is recorded in the video and you have the videos for that purpose. Okay, so let me start the Eclipse on my machine. See, this Eclipse ID for Java Developer 202006, it's probably the older one. Uh, those who have installed any other ID, right, just now as Mohammed Shoaib says, he has installed uh, another ID, but it's okay. Then in that case, see, if you get any problem, there are going to be a number of IDs. Whatever ID you are using, you have to yeah, solve your problems on your own. Because we have to fix on one ID and one kind of installation for the whole purpose, whole session, for the whole group. So not an issue. Go ahead with LJ. So in Eclipse, I have got multiple installations. I need this one, which is the recent that I installed yesterday. Let me open that Eclipse. Those who want to attempt, development uh, with the command prompt, they want to write everything in Notepad. They are free to do so. It's just that it will take more time and it's going to take your more energy towards learning the structure of the keywords. Rather, I prefer to focus more on the concepts. Yeah, as I said, you can use any ID, Abhishek. So you can use any ID, not a problem. But the thing is that while discussion inside the class or even in the offline mode, we will be talking about just one platform for everything. So that is how we will proceed because it's not possible to discuss everything and try out everything. You can go ahead with whatever ID you like, not a problem. Okay. So it's asking me for the workspace. This is the user screen that you always get unless and until you click on this, checkbox uh, for setting this workspace as the default. I prefer not to do it because for different batches, I might use different workspace. So I'm just saying launch. some time to start. Yeah, okay. So yesterday we have made this project, demo BCA section A and B, and here you can see the GRE system libraries which are coming from right from the JDK, the integrated platform for the Java development. And you have the platform, SRC folder, and in the SRC folder we have created a package. And we have seen in the last class that package is translated to basically a hierarchical folder structure. So there will be a folder by the name in SRC folder of the project in workspace. Inside the in there will be an AC folder. Inside AC there will be a Jamia Hamza folder, and inside the Jamia Hamza folder there is a code_demo folder where you can actually find your myfirstprogram.java, this file that we have written yesterday. Similarly, parallel to SRC in the same project, you will find the build folder, and it will also have the same directory structure of the package. And inside the last folder, that is code_demo, you will find myfirstprog.class file. The compiled classes go there. Okay. So today, we will discuss something about the structure of Java program. Whatever goes as a file inside, say for example, myfirstprog.java with the extension .java. The first statement that you will have to write is the package, the folder structure in which you have basically kept this myfirstprog.java. So package in.ac.jamiahamza.code_demo is the same package structure that we have created yesterday. What we have done is we have clicked on the SRC folder, right click on it. We have opted for the new, then package first, and we have given the name of the package differentiated by dot for each of the folder structure. And then once the package was created, then we have clicked on the package. We have yesterday clicked on the new, right click, and we have selected for the new option again. And this time we have chosen for the class. So during the class generation, we have opted for automatic generation of public static void main, this particular method, skeleton, the empty body of the method. So this is all we have done yesterday using the IDE. And we know that if we click on this run button, we will get the output of the program. In the console window below here, this is the output that we are getting, hello world. So the first thing in a Java program is the package declaration. Then you may have one or more than one classes, but as a good practice, I would suggest that you keep one class inside one file. So the name of the file is going to be the same as the name of the class in that case, because you are not having more than one classes in one file. Technically, is it possible that you may keep more than one classes in a single file? But that is an extremely bad habit and a bad practice. People do not, appreciate it when you go for a coding, real coding. So your file, inside the file, the first statement that you will get is the package declaration. This is the declaration that this file is inside, or this class is inside this particular package. Then you have the class declaration, public class myfirstprog, and the body of the class starts and the body of the class ends. Similarly, within a class, you can have either the declaration of the variables or the constants, that is the sort of containers which will hold some kind of values for you, or the data that is being held by some values. Like for example, I can say int x is equal to 6. So this is the container, and x of the type integer that holds the value integer value 6. So basically, somewhere in the your heap, some space is allocated for this integer variable x. Okay, that will hold some value. For example, 6 here. So you cannot have anything else accept an integer value for x. So for example, if I want to say x is equal to say for example an string value, hello. So this is not possible because in this case you will see the error message comes a line before, and in fact you cannot have a statement here. You will have to go to the method for writing a statement. So I will go to the method and I will try to initialize. Then you will see error message coming just beneath the x, and a red line is coming here. Okay, and it says cannot make a static reference to a non-static. Okay, that's something different. Okay, just let me write static for a while. I will tell you the meaning of static later on. Okay, now it says the actual message type mismatch cannot convert from string to integer. So it says the value that you are assigning is not compatible with the type you have defined for this container, that is this variable x, which you have chosen to be integer type initially. So you have chosen it to be integer type. That means this box is going to hold this box which has got the name x, for example. This variable x is going to hold a value 6, but you are trying to assign a value which is of type string. So that is not possible. Even if I try to assign something else like a character, for example, under single quote, you will write a character, say C, then also it will give error over here now. You see, it says syntax error on token x is equal to 6. Okay, so basically it should basically point out that okay, the problem is with the data type itself. I should remove this. No, okay. It is taking for character. It is taking for character. The reason is because now comes the size into picture. So here comes the size into picture. A character is a character value needs the container size which is much smaller than the integer, than the type integer. Okay, so in that case it is trying to automatically fit the smaller value into the larger container. Of course it is storing not the character C but the kind of a value that refers to the character C, which is called the ASCII value of C. ठीक है, तो ये क्या कर रहा है, ये ASCII वैल्यू को उठा करके int में डाल रहा है, right? So this is possible here, but if I want to store something else, let me try with a value 32.6. Now see, now I am getting a problem. It says again type mismatch cannot convert from a double to integer. So because it's a floating point number, and by default the floating point number are considered as a double value, I will come again to these data types and we will try to understand. But just to know that the value that you are trying to put in the container X has by default some large requirement, is considered to have a large requirement of the container size. Then integer variable can hold. So that is why it is not automatically trying to fit the things, but rather it is saying that it's a type mismatch, cannot convert from a double to integer value. Okay, so the crux is to remember as of now is you can have within the class different kinds of variables that you can define. Integer, float, y is equal to 5.7 f, for example. Okay, sorry, float y is equal to 5.7 f, double p is equal to 3.2, and so on. So you can have a number of variables, variable x, variable y, variable d, all these variables which are defined, they are of different types. Okay. What is the size of these variables, and why I'm writing with a different syntax, like f I am putting here, and I'm not putting anything after 3.2. We will discuss soon. But within a class, the bottom line is that you can define variables, okay, and you can define methods. Whether the methods are static, it has a static keyword before the method, or you can also define the methods which are non-static. For example, let me say I am defining a method public add, and let me have a return type for it. Let me say int, and I want to add two integer values. I will say integer x, comma integer y. So this is the method signature. That is first line of the method, also sometimes called as a prototype of the method. Okay. So you can see if I do any mistake, I will get the error as soon as I do the mistake. What does the error say? This, it must return something because you have promised that this method is going to return something of the type integer, right? So this is the name of the method. This is the return type. You are promising that this add method is going to return something of the type which is compatible with integer data type. Okay. It's compatible with the integer data type. And then you are accepting two values as a parameter to this add method, which are referred by x and y variables. So they are named x and y. Okay. So as soon as I return something, or I add a return statement over here, return, say for example, x plus y semicolon, my compilation error goes away, right? So the code is being compiled automatically as soon as you write even a single line, and you can see the problems which are being shown by red line. If you have any problem, any compilation error, so you will have to fix that error. And then if you do not see a red line anywhere, any cross, then your code is good to run. You can save it with Control S and you can run, right? So you can see there is a file, myfirstprog.java. Inside that first statement that we have written is the package declaration, the folder structure in which this particular file is located. Then the class declaration, the class is started from this curly braces till this curly braces. Then we can have variable declarations of different types of variables. That means the nature of the variable could be of integer type for x. For floating point, that means with a decimal. Floating points means decimal, right? So here we have defined a floating point variable y. Then we have defined a double variable. This is again a floating point variable with a larger size. Okay. So again, that is 3.2. Okay. So these float and double are the floating point variables, that is containing the decimal values along with the integer values. Whereas int is purely a number without decimal. Okay. We can have a number of methods. The methods could be declared static, or it could be declared non-static. If you do not have the keyword static, then you say those methods are non-static. If you have declared a method with a keyword static, then that method is called as a static method. Okay, any questions till now? Guys, any questions?
So, what does the static mean?
Yeah,
What's
we
the
will come to it. We will come to it
constant?
later. We will come to it later in later classes. Okay, don't worry about it. There are a lot of things which you will see as of now just being coded, and if I am not discussing much about it, then the chances are that they are going to be discussed in the later classes. So we will discuss the easiest thing first, and then we are going to move towards the a little conceptual thing. However, those who are much familiar with the C++, just for them, I am telling the static keyword is exactly the same as you have studied in C++. No differences. Okay? But for those who are not familiar with the static keyword, don't worry. After a few classes, we are going to discuss the static in complete depth. Okay? In fact, everything that you are seeing, like this public SS specifier, it's called as an SS specifier. Okay? So this is also something we are going to discuss. Void you must be already aware of. Void is a keyword which is put before a method to indicate the return type of this method, which says that you are not going to return anything from this method. So you can see inside the main method you are not returning anything, right? You're just printing something, but you are not returning anything out from the main method. So we have kept void. We cannot leave it empty. This is not possible. This is not possible. You will get a compilation error. And the compilation error will say, just have a look, return type for the method is missing. That means it is mandatory to add a return type, whether it's an integer, it's a float, it's a double, or it could be a string, or it could be any other class that I create. That means user defined data type. That is possible. Okay? But there has to be a return type. If we do not want to return anything, then we have to give an indication that by putting a keyword void before the main method, that I am not going to return anything. Okay? Similarly, this method, add method, has got a return type of integer. So the first line, basically, this is called as the signature of the method. This is a promise, a kind of promise or a contract, what we call as, made to the developer, that whatever you are looking at this line, that will be followed, even though the body of the method may change. I can change the body of the method. Okay, I can say return x plus y plus 5, for example. Okay, the actual computation may change, the algorithm may change, but the signature of the method is not changed. Then the place from where this method is called, that particular code will not have any impact on it. But if I change the method, for example, if I just say I want to add another variable z, I want to add 3 variables, so the caller will also have a impact on it. Okay? Yeah. Mr. Puri? हाँ, यहाँ पे क्यों लिखा है? Okay. So for example, I want to add 3 numbers. Okay. So I will call the method add, and then I will pass 3 numbers. Okay. 2, 3, 5. Okay. Simple. Okay. I've called a method. Okay. I'm doing something. Just don't worry about it. Why I'm doing this? But basically, I am putting the name of the class. Sorry. Non-static method. So what I have done is I have created the object of this class itself, my first PROG. Okay. And then on the object, I have called a particular method. If you are not able to understand what I am doing here, just wait till the next class. We are going to discuss it in a little more detail when we will discuss about the object and the classes. Okay. So just don't worry about this line. This is the way how I can call a method. So obj.add 235. So add method is basically called, and this is this method. Okay. So 2, 3, and 5 are the values or the arguments which are being passed. 2 will be allocated to x, 3 will be allocated to y, and 5 will be allocated to z, right? And then I can choose to return x plus y plus z. So what will happen? This value will be received here, and let me say we are going to receive it in a variable called result, which is of the type integer, because you have promised that you are going to return an integer value from the add method. Okay. So whatever you have promised, you have to follow that promise. The signature is that it will take 3 parameters. This add method is going to take 3 parameters. You can change the body. You can say I want to add 3 numbers, or I want to add 3 numbers and then double it, multiply it by 2, whatever. I can just change everything by adding some new instruction like this. I want to multiply this whole addition with 2, right? I can do that also, right? Doesn't suit with the name add because add says it's just going to add. Probably I should have given the different name for the method to reflect the meaning of the method. But whatever the algorithm that we want to change, we can change the algorithm in the body. Unless and until this signature, the first line, the prototype of the method is not changed, this place where the method is being called doesn't get impacted. Okay. If we make a change in the signature, for example, from 3 variables, I'm reducing it to 2 variables. Okay. Here also in the code, then I will use just 2 variables, x plus y. The compilation of this add method will have no problem because this is a method written for adding 2 variables, right? The problem will occur at the it is saying the method add int. That means add takes 2 int parameters and you are passing 3 int parameters. In the type, my first PROG is not applicable for the arguments int. That your arguments, this is what we call as arguments. Whatever we are passing from the calling space, from where we are calling. And when it is declared here, that in which container it is going to be received, this is what we call as a parameter. So this is argument. Arguments are the values. Arguments, and here we have defined parameter. Here we have defined the parameter, right? I should not put it here, rather I should put it over here. Okay. So here what we can see is this x and y, this is a kind of declaration of the parameters, okay? That these 2 parameters are required for the this particular method, you will get the compilation error over there. And the error says the method add int. That means the method has 2 parameters of the integer type. And in the type, my first PRG is not applicable for the arguments. Here are the arguments. This arguments of the type int is not applicable. That is, passing 3 arguments is not applicable. So I have to make a change over here to match it, right? To match it. So this is what we call as a method call. Object.add 2,3 is a method call. We are calling a method, and here once the method is called, some computation happens over here, and the result of the computation, if it is compatible with the return type, then that computation result is returned back to the same place. That means from where the method has been called. Otherwise, if there is a problem of incompatibility, that means I'm expecting something else. I have promised something else. Say, for example, let me say I have promised a character. Okay. In that case, the return type is not a character. It's an integer value. X contains an integer value, Y contains an integer value, addition is an integer value. Then if I multiply it by 12, that is also integer value. So the value that I will get here is an integer value and it will mismatch with the return type. So you will get a compilation error here now. And that says type mismatch cannot convert from an integer to a character. That means the value which will be computed is an integer value, right? For example, 2 will be assigned to X, 3 will be assigned to Y. I won't see a comparison error over here now, right? Because this method call is compatible with the parameter. Arguments are same as required by the parameters. X is an integer type, I am passing a 2 as an argument for the add method. Y is an integer type, I am passing 3 as an argument. ठीक है? तो जो argument हम pass कर रहे हैं वो parameter से match कर रहा है. So I don't have a problem here while calling the method, okay? But when I try to add this 2 plus 3 is 5 multiplied by 2, that is 10. It's an integer value, and I have changed the signature, that the promise that I'm going to return an integer value. I've made it to character. So it says you are trying to return a value which is integer type, and actually you have promised a character type, which is a mismatch. So the code will not compile. It will not allow you to do this. You have to make either this character declaration as an integer type, or you may return a character value, say for example, C. Okay. You can do this. You have to make compatible, right? So this is the value being returned, C, which is a character. This is compatible with character. and the character value will be received over here. Now the character size is much smaller than the integer size. So that is the reason something which requires a smaller space will fit into a larger container. So it is not giving a compilation error. Okay, it will fit here. We write C. Here we have written C as a return value, and the type of return type is also character. So these both matches. So no problem in this method, right? This method is okay. No, the compilation is okay. Here, I don't see a compilation error, right? No red line, no red cross. So the compilation is okay because the value that I am returning is of the character type. Single quotes के अंदर है. The return type that I have promised is also character. So the promise is also fulfilled. Then whatever value that is C is being replaced here. Say for example C, character C is being replaced over here, right? Return होके यही तो आएगा. Now this C, when we consider the ASCII value, a numeric value that corresponds to the C, that makes sense for the C. Okay, that numeric value, ASCII value of C, character C, that represents C as a character, small character C, that value requires less container size than the container result, which is of the type integer. ठीक है, अब इसको कैरेक्टर को छोटा साइज चाहिए, ठीक है, और हम जो कंटेनर उसको दे रहे हैं वो बड़ा दे रहे हैं. ये जो कैरेक्टर सी है ये सी जैसा नहीं आ रहा है, ये इसके अंदर एक कोड में कन्वर्ट हो रहा है जो कि न्यूमरिक वैल्यू है, उसको हम बोलते हैं ASCII की. लेट मी राइट इट. आप गूगल कर लीजिएगा ASCII कीज क्या होती हैं. हर कैरेक्टर यू विल गेट ASCII की फॉर ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर. ओके, सो लेट मी जस्ट शो इट, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. You can see ASCII tables or ASCII codes, whatever you like. Okay, so you will see here. Let me go to the next link. Enter character, for example, C. Okay, the complete list is already there below here. You can see, right? Starting from numeric values. Okay, then you have got character values, exclamation mark, double quote, everything. Then you go for A, B, C, D, capital letters till Z. Then you have got small letters. So the C value has got an visible ASCII value of 99, right? So that means basically that 99 is being attempted to place inside your code, which has got a container result by the name result of type integer. So that's a very small value. Integer can hold a larger value. So that value is compatible in size. So that is stored. So no problem here. We don't get a compilation error. No problem of compatibility. Okay. But doing this is bad because I have already said the name reflects, it's going to add two numbers, right? And I'm doing something else. That's a bad idea. Technically allowed, but it's a bad idea. Okay. The name should always reflect whatever you are going to actually do in the code. So in that case, what I have to do is basically I have to change it to X plus Y. And in that case, X plus Y is the value change code here. Okay. Now this X plus Y is the value 5. Now it becomes incompatible with character. So either I have to change this value or I have to change this promise. Okay. That it is going, this method, add method is going to return a type. integer value. Now everything is fine. If I want to see the output, I can just go for printing this the container value, that is result container value, the result variable value uh, inside the system.out.println, and if I'm printing this result variable, its value will be replaced by in the println method. And as soon as I go for the run option, I can see the output. Hello world is coming from this line, and then you're getting the value 5, which is the addition of two numbers, that is 2 and 3, which we have got, yeah, which we have passed. Any questions till now? You can get everything in the video. And if you require, I can share the code also, not a problem. Don't waste time in writing. You have a small class taken. Any questions, guys? All okay? So, so the structure is, we have already discussed the structure of a Java program file. The file must end with a .java extension. The first line is the package declaration. Then comes the class name. Because I am keeping a single class inside a single class as a good practice. So the name of the class will be exactly same as the name of the file. My first prog.java is the name of the file. The name of the class is my first prog. It is going to be the same. Inside the class body, we can declare either the variables which are going to store some data of different types in nature, or we can have methods. Okay, like this main method and the add method. Okay, so that is the bottom line for whatever we have discussed till now. Now, we must understand a few conventions. So, convention means the practices, the coding practices which a particular language developer follows throughout the world. Okay? So, Java world has got its own coding conventions. That means it follows certain practices. And those practices must be followed by every developer. When you go to the industry, in your company, if you do not follow those conventions, those guidelines rather for good programming, the chances are that if you are working in a nice company, someone is going to review your code. Rather, more than one person is going to review your code, and they will discard your code just because your code does not follow the convention, coding convention, Java coding convention. Okay. So you have to be very careful about it. Although your program may run perfectly fine, technically it is correct, it's giving the right output, there is nothing wrong with your logic, but if you do not follow the coding convention, the chances are that your code will be discarded in the code review process. You will be asked to follow the coding principles or the Java coding conventions. So let me write something about the Java coding convention. We should understand a little bit more about the Java coding convention. Java coding conventions. You know the meaning of convention, right? When we say this is a conventional way of doing something, that means this is a typical way of doing something that has been followed from long time back. So Java coding conventions, basically they are the set of practices, in bracket I should say coding practices that do not violate the syntax, but that if not followed, declared if not followed, but are highly encouraged to follow. So Java coding conventions are the set of practices, that is the coding practices, how you code, how you write the code. Those practices which, if not followed, then of course they do not violate the syntax. The code will compile. The code will compile. But following them is highly incorrect. That means you should follow. And some of the basic coding convention is that if you define the name of a class, not defined but declare, name of a class. If you are declaring the name of the class, for example, as I did in the first line of my code here, public class my first prog. So this is the name of the class, the identifier of the class, right? This identifies the name of the class. This is an identifier. So the identifier which represents the name of a class must be started with capital letter and every subsequent word in the name, the class name, or you can say it identifier also, class identifier, which identifies the name, identifies the class, must be capital. And every subsequent first character in the first character in word in the class name must be in caps. That means what I've written here is my first prog. So there are three words, my first and prog. There are three words in the name of the class. So you can see, you can notice that M is capital for my, F is capital for first, and P is capital for prog. I can of course, violate this. I can say my first prog, or let me say P capital randomly, right? Okay. This should match with the name of the class, name of the file. If this is matching with the name of the file, I won't get the compilation error. If this is not matching, I will get the name of the compilation. I will get the compilation error. The compilation error will say the public type my first prog must be defined its own file. That means the name of the file is something different. So it's not thinking that this is the same file which is containing this class. Okay. So if I change the name of the file, for example, let me rename it. My first prog, if I say like this, the compilation error will go. Okay. क्या कह रहा है ये? Okay, here I have changed the object, of course. Okay. So let me just comment these two lines. Or rather, let me not comment, let me correct it. So that there is no problem. The name have to be my first prog, right? The code also. Okay. So the code compiles. But what is wrong with the code is that I have not followed the Java naming convention for writing the name of the class. or writing the identifier which identifies the class. ठीक है, ये मैंने violate किया. Now this program is perfectly right. It is going to compile. It is going to run. No issues. But when you go to the review process, the review will say you have not followed the Java coding convention for writing the name of a class. Okay. For example, if you see a data type string s is equal to double quote, right? This is a user-defined data type defined by the Java providers. Those who have provided the Java language, they have created this class and give it as a data type. Okay, user-defined data type. So you can see string s is captain, right? They have also followed the convention, right? System, you can see system is the name of a class. It's the name of the class. So you will know just by looking at that system is a class. It's the name of a class, but out is not a name of a class, right? Println is not a name of a class. Println is a method, right? So you can just have a glance at the code and you will be able to visualize that what is the class, what is the variable, what is the method probably. Okay? That is why the convention is highly encouraged. Okay? So what if I change this my first program to the right way, that is my first PROG, what will happen? I'm getting a compilation error again for the same reason. What is the reason? It says the public type my first PROG must be defined in its own file. Basically, it is saying that the name of the file must be same as the name of the class. Now it's different. It's case sensitive, right? Java is a case sensitive language. So if I want to make change, I should not make change this way. Very interesting thing. Because in that case, I will have to go here and I will have to rename this also. So there are more than one task that I have to do. Rather, I should select this, right click on it, the name of the class, go to the refactor, and then rename here. You see, it's asking me to rename. I will come to this box, my first PROG. I'm following the convention. Let me press the enter key. As soon as I print the enter key, okay, you see, not only the name here is changed, but the name of the file is also changed. Okay, clear? You can see, even here also, the call, the declaration is also changed. So if you have used this class to create objects of at 1,000 places, or you have used the name of the class at 1,000 places, so if you have made change using the refactor option, then all those 1,000 places throughout your code repository, I mean the code workspace in the project, everywhere it will be, the change will be reflected. You won't have to track down each and individual place where to change. So the simple option is, if you want to change this, the name of the class, for example, select the name of the class, right click on it, go to refactor and use the rename option from here. ठीक है, directly rename नहीं करना है आपको. Similarly, if you want to change the name of this file, for example, so let me right click on it, go to refactor, rename, okay, and instead of my first program, let me say my first program for BCA. Okay, following the coding convention, F is capital, B is capital, right? So when I say finish, if you say something, just press finish as of now. You see, this name is changed, the name of the file is changed, the name of the class is changed. Okay, the name of the class where I have used is also, declarations are also changed, right? Everywhere you will see the reflected changes. So this is the power of the IDE, that you will do the work very quickly and the changes are navigated throughout the workspace in your project. If you use this particular class at 1,000 places, no problem, those 1,000 places will be changed automatically, taken care by the IDE. You will have to spend probably a day to track all those places to change on your own. Guys, any questions? Those online, any questions? Okay, so this is the coding convention that I have just discussed with the name of the class. that this is the coding convention that you have to follow while giving a name to a class. That means writing an identifier for a class. That there, if there are multiple words, every word must have their first character in caps. And if there is a single word, then also the first character must be in caps. Similarly, convention for convention for giving method name, and the same convention applies for variable name. Same convention applies both the places. So for example, if my method name contains more than one word, say for example, let me say add two integers, okay? And this takes integer x comma integer y, and there is a body. I'm going to return x plus y, right? So I must add a return type over here, integer. Let me say the visibility of this method is public. Don't worry if you do not understand public as of now. Okay. So the return type is x plus y, which is going to be integer. It is compatible with the promise that you have made that it's an integer value, and the name has got more than one word. Add two integers. Okay. So the first character of the first word must be in small caps, and then the rest, each and every word must have first character in caps. Like T for two is in caps, I for integer is in caps, but A for add is not in caps. This is called as camel case. Camel case. Camel case. This is called as camel case. And this camel case convention you have to follow for giving a method name or a variable name. So for example, if I've got a variable, say for example, say integer student enrollment number, right, is equal to 2015222001, for example. Okay, I'm giving an integer value. Okay, so in this case, what happens? It has got three words of this variable: student, enroll, and NO number, right? So S for student is going to be in small caps, E is going to be in caps letter, and is going to be in caps letter. So this is what we call as camel case. This camel case convention is applied both for variables as well as methods. You have to follow this. Again, this doesn't mean that if you violate the convention, you are going to get into compilation error. No. If I say integer, say uh, student, I'm violating, right? Right? Student enroll number. S is capital. S should be small. Rest everything is fine. And if I am violating this 567, for example, I won't get a compilation error. Okay, the code will compile, the code will run. But when the code will be reviewed, you will be asked to change it. Because if I just go with the outline, so for example, if this particular variable, if this would have been defined here, okay, you can see in the outline, this is the name of the class. These are the variables. Okay, but at just one look, I cannot distinguish that this is the name of the variable. This looks like probably a name of a class. So probably the developers who are reading your code, they may get confused. They will have to see it more, cautiously to figure out the things. So let make the life for them also easier, and let's follow the coding convention. Okay, guys, everything okay till now? Yeah, camel case, Mohammed Shoaib, you're correct. Guys, speak up. Is everything okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. ठीक है. So that's it for today. We will go slowly, but we will go steadily. Try to have the class possibly every day, except for the days which we are busy in something other assignments. So in those days we have to skip, or if probably if we are on leave, then also we have to leave the class. Otherwise, rest of all the days we will try to have the class. Okay. So that's it, guys. I'm dropping the call. Uh, Practice whatever we have discussed till today. Okay, look at the videos, do all the deliberate mistakes, the compilation errors that I have made, study them, try to figure out the error messages, the compilation error messages that you get by hovering your mouse pointer over the error. Okay, when you get error, do another thing. That, for example, if I have done a mistake, like for example, if I have typed the name of the system as a different, one thing is that if I hover over the system, the red line, so it will say this cannot be resolved. This is not a variable. This is not name of a class. This is not a name of a method. I don't know what it is. The compiler is saying so, and it is basically giving you an option over here. It's giving you option that change to system java.lang. So look here. Look here is this on this small bulb. What does it says? This is also just an indication of the suggestion. So it says what are the options that you can have to make the error correct. Some will make sense, some will not make sense, but at least you will be familiar with what are uh, the messages that you are getting with the IDE and the compiler. Okay. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
महकता है बहकता